Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. It's so hot here. Is it hot there too?
It's pretty hot. Yep, it is.
Oh,
We're in our summer garb.
yeah, exactly.
Is it hot
Oh my
inside
God.
and outside?
Huh?
Inside and outside is hot. Outdoors and indoors.
Yeah, but outside it's ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah. What's going on with you guys?
Not too bad. Not too bad yet. Mm-mm.
Are you supposed to get the really, like, we're getting over 100 degrees every day?
Oh my gosh, we're not yet. Let me see. No, 90 on Friday.
Oh, I would so love it to be 90.
That's awful. If 90 is a relief, that's awful.
Yeah, we're in the Ohio Valley, and so it's very beautiful,
Yeah.
and it's also kind of like a steam bath. It's surrounded, and it holds in all the heat and all the hotter it gets, the I can't really quite explain it, but there's people, I know people here who actually leave during the summer. They find it so oppressive.
Wow.
Yeah, but what we're experiencing now is climate stuff. It's really disappointing to realize, like my grandson's camps this week were the hours were, it was like COVID.
They had to adapt to the
They
heat.
had to adapt to the heat, and I thought, okay, so now they have to adapt to this.
Oh,
Their whole lives are going to be adaptations of,
yeah.
yeah. So when I was thinking about You Ruined It, I was thinking, well, we're going to need Angelishka more than ever. Oh my goodness.
There's so many healers out there. There's so many tarot readers and healers, and
yes, exactly.
finding them.
Yeah. So
instead of checking the weather, I just check the astrology. I'm like, what's the moon doing? Who's conjunct with who?
Right.
What does it mean? Okay.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And then I forget about it.
Yeah, I know. I just, anyway, it's been interesting thinking about that, though, that, like if there was school right now, they couldn't have school. It's too hot. It's like 107 degrees. I mean, it's.
Oh my gosh, Michelle, that's really.
Yeah. It's because of the humidity.
Yeah.
It just makes it impossible to function really for very long outside. And I was thinking, so is that going to be, that's the new thing kids are adjusting to this summer here in Kentucky, is these heat extremes that we've never had before. I mean, we've had hot weather, but this is different. Yeah, so here we go. Round and round and round we go. Yeah.
No, it's breezy and cool here compared to what you're describing. So
yeah,
it's like gentle early summer.
Oh, I love that.
Very lucky.
Yeah, that's really nice. I hope that stays that way for you all.
It'll turn when it turns, just like,
know. Yeah, there's not what can be done,
Yeah, it'll just
be. Here it comes. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know if you saw my note about, like, I kind of made us 2 sessions because I was feeling sort of discombobulated myself, I think because of the heat, and there's a lot going on. There's a huge Breonna Taylor event Saturday that I'm part of, and I realized, oh yeah, and I'm also got my mind on what my role that day is going to be in the community. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, but is that okay with you if we kind of talk a little bit about the you know, where you mentioned you did something with the journal, and I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that, or.
I just went a little further. I'm just very slow, but when I just went a little further and made some choices about the
Okay.
presentation, I guess, you know, just a little bit of language for transitions here and there, and just combing through it, through.
Great. Okay. So, but nothing you need me to do anything with right now.
No, I broke up I changed your bio from I took part of it to be like about Michelle, and then I'm going to put a picture there. And then the other part, I made it first person, and then you can look at it and see if you like it. It's your words. I just changed it to first person. So it's like an introduction from you, a little bio about you. So that people get that snapshot, a little bit of your voice, and then a little bit of your credentials.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, great. Okay, yeah. Just if I'm always like, my thought is always, is there something I'm supposed to be doing?
There's nothing you're supposed to be doing.
Not like that, not in a negative way.
Yeah.
But it just, you know, anyway.
No, it's more, I just tell you that I'm working on it, so you know, like if you want to
thank you.
What's going on, it's there.
Oh yeah, no, I love that. I'm so honored, and it's so great that you do that. Thank you.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. And I have been officially hired to teach at the University of Louisville as of yesterday.
Really? Congratulations.
Well, congratulations to us all, because the class I'm teaching, they chose the class. Now I see what happened. I had been sending this group of professionals at the college that I do a lot of training with their centers and their students. I had been sending them the stuff that we've been doing.
Really?
Yeah. And they've been, you know, like, wow, you know, I'm sending this on up the chain. This needs to be seen by other people at the college. And I'm like, yeah, send it on, you know, whatever. You know, because they'll write me back and say, is this copyrighted? And I say, no, but it, you know, obviously people can listen to it. I mean, that's the point of it, sort of, you know. But eventually it will be more formed and available in a different format, but it still, there's no problem with you listening to. I was trying to explain to them, no, it's fine. You know, listen to it and send it to whoever you want to listen to it. That's fine. So now I see the class they've given me is called Guidance. Yeah. Okay. This is the mama bear of an education degree. It's my favorite class to teach. And I've taught it for many years. And I do a lot of work with teachers in that area because, you know, it's especially now after the, you know, years of not being in a physical space, and kids are coming back into physical spaces and their bodies aren't comfortable. Some of their hearts are broken. Some of their hearts are, you know, need mending, but they're not completely irretrievable. Some of them are just lost. And then there's the teachers are also in that state. So this guidance area, I love teaching that class because I work with the teacher on their own, you know, space around how they manage themselves.
Wow.
You know, because that's what guidance in the classroom is all about, is how they manage themselves. So, you know, and that's a real paradigm shift for a lot of teachers. When they first hear me say that, you know, they're like, no, no, actually it's not, you know, so they have to get there and realize that who they are is what the kids do. And so, and it's all happening on a level that's not necessarily conscious or visible. Yeah. So, well, lo and behold, I read down the list of the things that are in the course that are the objectives that, you know, are required, and
they define.
yeah, but it's all, it reads like a, just use ordinary terrible things, just use ordinary terrible things, just have them read ordinary terrible things. So it's so interesting that, this group of 8 professors signed a letter to the dean and said, hire her, please. We need her to be training our pre-surface educators in what she's doing. So it was all, now I get it.
Look what you did.
Well,
look what you did.
Yeah, I mean, look what, I just go, oh my God, look what happened there. Holy, yeah. So it's wonderful because everything we do, I'll be able to use in my course. I mean, it's amazing. It's unbelievable, really. Because all the areas of ordinary terrible things are areas historically, when I taught the class for probably 15 years, off in different spaces, different universities. And I always address these things. I always say, what's your relationship to this? What's your relationship to this? Because these are the things that show up in the classroom. And your children are living into them. And if there's nervous energy in the room, you have to ask yourself, what's triggering me right now? What's happening for me right now? Because I'm the source of that nervous energy, not the kids.
Whoa.
The kids are basically responsive beings. They propel a lot of their own ideas and things. It's not that, but their energy in that space is communal. It's about the community's energy. And the perception in the community is that the teacher is in charge. So they naturally gravitate and live into whatever comes from that source. And until the teacher has time to renegotiate that source issue, the kids are just like kind of waiting around to see what's going to happen here.
Wow, what a beautiful class that will be.
Yeah, every
ordinary terrible things will give them a lot of space to bring themselves to it. Exactly. And find out what is under there.
Yeah, and that's how I was using Not My Idea already to get them to look at the issue of race, of whiteness, because that's, you can imagine, that's huge. Yeah. So
unspoken and invisible and palpable and
right.
Yeah, I can't see it. It's like, it's you.
They can.
They can.
Yeah. So I'm really feeling even more than ever. Wow, this was so much more than I really understood.
That you knew what questions to ask and to create you just started creating materials. With me.
Yeah, I just, you've sent out this call and, people are answering it. That's how I look at it. When you put those things out there, I just go, yeah, okay. Yeah. There's another journal page, it's interesting watching it unfold because.
You mean when I put little posts and stuff?
Yes. And the big, all of it, of course.
But that's
and I feel like, wow, I'm just sending these on to teachers to contemplate now. You're living with us, you've moved in. Yeah, well, you are a teacher, so
that's true.
You teach. So you were already living with us. Yeah.
Official teacher. That's fantastic. I'm honored.
Yeah, well, yeah. We're all honored. It's amazing. Yeah. So, well, in that case, I have questions from Youruinedit.
Okay, good. I'm ready. I got my book in case we need to look at it.
Okay, and I had 2 thoughts about it.
Okay.
I do have a second session set up so that when this one says you have to go now, we can just go right into the next one, and that way, if that's okay with you.
Yes, of course. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I really do think pulling from the talks I've seen you give with the family, is it family counseling group or
Family tree clinic.
yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think having those available to teachers will be very useful, because something that's happening for teachers that makes this feel even more important to me is that they are interacting with school counselors more than ever.
Teachers are.
Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, I have two good, close friends who are actually coming over at the end of the month to go over your books with me and talk about this. And they have been saying that they can't keep up with the need from teachers. So they're really ready for this work. Yeah, they need help. They need something teachers can get their hands on.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did think about how all the pieces you've been posting and all the things you've done, and then all the amazing things in the book itself, I think I'm going to try to organize into, for lack of a better word, a journal, another experiential piece.
Mm-hmm.
That won't look like Not My Idea in the sense that it's not as probing or, and I think that's appropriate for this.
I hear that.
I think for this, it's it feels different to me, because I know that I'm speaking to teachers who, the likelihood of them having experienced something is so high.
Yeah, it's like 1 in 4 or something.
Yeah. And even as an older woman, which is how I definitely see myself, but I see in my generation, as things started revealing themselves over the last 20, 30 years about this topic, I started realizing myself, oh, that was assault. Oh, that happened to me. That was also assault. I never thought of it as assault. I thought of it as what was. This is just what is.
Right.
I did not experience it as traumatic. I experienced it as, this is what happens.
Right. And
I was not raped. It was just physical assault, bombarding me with sexual activity that I, didn't want. So I think there are.
You experienced this as a grown
experienced
person?
it the first time when I was 13.
Oh.
And then as soon as I got kind of wise about it, it was probably when I lived in South America and up in the rainforest. I realized, oh yeah, I'm not doing, no, that's not happening to me. No, that's not going to be happening to me. No. I don't know what happened. But I just said, well, that's happened twice now. No, that's not going to keep happening to me.
Wow.
No, that's not going to keep happening to me. So interestingly enough, in the rainforest, I did have a shaman interact with me in the rainforest on a regular basis. A real shaman, not a white person who took shaman training. Right. And then put a shingle on their door and said shaman. I'm sorry, there are people here in Louisville that have done that.
Sure.
And it's really hard. It's hard for me because I have so much regard for the one that I actually knew who was actually a shaman.
And what did they share with you?
I don't know. I couldn't speak their language.
Oh.
It was just all this activity around me. Circles, and the clouds were like, so we were up so high that the clouds you couldn't see because of the clouds.
We're in them.
at
Wow.
certain times of the day. And I have one photograph that somebody took. I'll show it to you sometime. It's of a boy with a monkey, and it was in that space that I spent some time in. And I have no idea. I don't know what happened. I just know that I found it unbearably sad to leave and come back. And then I was never the same after that. I no longer tolerated any bullshit from anybody.
Wow.
I was 16.
That's what people say. They say you leave the country and
Yeah.
look back at America like, wait a second.
Yep.
That's bullshit. All of it.
All of it.
We're so desensitized.
Yeah. And being in those spaces with those people, you know, I mean, it's indescribable. You know, there's no contact with the outside world. There's nothing there that is remotely like this reality. There's nothing. There's no electricity. There's nothing. Yeah. So and I was there for so long.
Wow.
Yeah. And I could speak Spanish, but I couldn't speak their language. I don't know what language they spoke.
Wow.
Yeah. They were the original people. You know, of course, all the people that speak Spanish there are, you know, they're because their ancestors were brutes. You know, I mean, it was, you know, so it's the same story as ours in a lot of ways.
Right.
Yeah. So I recognize in all that is to say, I'm a teacher and all that's in me. You know, I'm bringing that into every space I enter into. So I kind of feel like I want to treat this a little differently. Do you have thoughts about that, or does it make sense?
Oh, I love it. And I love the way that you see the, like, because you've read the interviews.
Yes.
That I've done with
Yes.
Mix Magazine and Bitch Media. And so I'm just glad that those things will go to use, that will be put to use. And I feel like this book is not so much about digging into anybody's past, but
right.
But noticing how you respond to the book.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Like it really, you do need to notice, because people have weird reactions to this, I think, similar to whiteness, where the defenses kick in. And defenses kick in, or pain accidentally on purpose gets kind of exploded, like you know, something that's like a shell, something that was hidden, tucked away inside of a shell. Inside this kind of dissolves armor, this book, or cracks those containers, and stuff just floods out that people are surprised by.
Yeah, it's very, it's so tender, this book.
Yeah.
You know, it reminds me of like downy baby bird feathers. It's just, you know, it's very tender. I don't know if that was on purpose.
Yes, absolutely on purpose. People are, you know, so inflamed and allergic, and yet subjected to so much assault in the past and in the present. And it had to acknowledge and be with, without laying hands on anybody, with, you know, like without, the book needed to not reach into anybody. It needed to, but it also didn't need to, it couldn't like, it couldn't tread so gently that it didn't say the thing. You know, I had to say the thing and show it and allude to it and locate it in her little body, her little unruined body. And in all the bodies, in Mother's body and in Billy's body.
Yes.
And then everyone just had to be so cared for.
Yes.
And enveloped in love.
So if I think about a teacher reading this and listening to us talk about it,
Uh-huh.
and I think about that tenderness, and it's something that I ask teachers to tap into, to that tender place that allows them to have softness around the students that are before them. Because the students all now really bring ordinary, terrible things into the room. There really isn't any student anymore. No matter what their background, they've experienced so much now.
Direct and indirect injury and harm.
Yes. And so is there something you could say about how you got to that place of being tender about it? Because thinking about that happening to a child is infuriating. And also maybe for some teachers, they're remembering what happened to them.
Yeah.
Or they look out in the room and they suspect something is going on like this. And they really don't know how to meet it.
Yeah, or even they don't know if they're even in their bodies at that moment.
Right. And then you think about how
and suspect, and then boom, you're out.
Yeah, you're out of your body. Right. And so how does a teacher who is being propelled by a world that expects certain outcomes from the experience their kids have in their classrooms, at the same time bring this tenderness and meet this moment for this child, somehow find that place? It's a big question, because when the child exits the body, the child says, well, actually, in my mind, I don't know that the child actually intentionally says, I'll be going now.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
I don't think it's that intentional. And I think that is one area where teachers struggle, is that they've assigned this capacity to come and go at will on the part of the student.
My son once said to me, you act like everything I do is on purpose.
Yeah. I love it. Yes, that's it.
The best title I ever heard.
I know. There you go. That's the next series of books.
Yeah. I was like, I think that'll be my memoir about parenting.
Oh my God.
You're right, I do. And he was like, I don't know what is happening to me.
Now, is this your older or younger?
Yeah, older. The one that was much more challenging, directly challenging to me. You act like everything I do is on purpose. He was really young when he said it, and it just stopped me in my tracks.
Wow.
But so.
What wisdom. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he's always.
And what a beautiful, this is exactly what I'm talking about. How do teachers get to the place where that can be said and heard?
Right.
Like for me, that tells me that you and he you were there for each other.
Yeah. We were in it.
You were in it together. He could have never said that to you otherwise. He wouldn't have even known the words. Oh my gosh.
So on the mark.
Yeah. So I love that. That might be that.
Ever since too. Yeah. And the thing about the tenderness with this book, we are so, like, mostly I wanted to show a child, just like with What You Don't Know, I wanted to show a child who's getting what they need. Yes. And everything is not perfect. Right. And that's not even the goal. No. But they're getting what their needs met. Right. And so what does that even look like? That looks like them being attuned to their own bodies. Yes. And imagination expanding, and enough friends, enough adults watching out for you, enough love and self-regard and regard between the people who raise you, enough space, privacy, things like that. But so with Youruinedit, my experience, I'll just go personal. My experience is that people have really off the wall, bizarre reactions to childhood sexual abuse.
Okay.
And so people get defensive, people get hostile, people get dislocated and dissociated. And I mean both of those words. Like, I think they go back in time. Sometimes there were times when I felt like family members of mine, if I said anything, they were not floating above me in the ceiling, but they were in another time in their life. And I was the enemy.
Wow.
You know, so, and I would see this and be like, I'm not going to get what I need here. And I'm not sure what I need, but it's definitely not this aggression, accusatory, interrogation, and what if this, and what if this, and why wouldn't this? If that were so, then this. And so I definitely had to like step away slowly, like you go away from a bear.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
And then be elsewhere to figure out how shaken up, you know, to settle myself down after being so shaken up. And so I needed the book to model for people so they could get better at this.
Yeah.
Get better at observing it and not trying to talk the child out of it. And that's why, you know, that's why it was very intentional to have the family members say, you misunderstood.
Right.
You're whatever, you're overreacting to something you misunderstood.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, think about how much gaslighting is in that one line. You're overreacting to something you misunderstood. It's such an admission of guilt.
Yes.
But it's useless in terms of actual, you know, any kind of accountability.
Right.
And so, and it's also, this book is not about justice in the sense that the justice would be that this doesn't happen to families, and children aren't subjected to, aren't experiencing their power just being, you know, stolen away by somebody they love as if that was love.
Yes.
And so it had to be so tender so that, and it still triggers people, of course.
Okay.
I see people who have had experiences of sexual abuse, and it does. So here's the reaction. So a person will say, I don't even want to read that. I'm scared to read that.
Okay.
And on a good day, or, you know, on a day when I feel well-resourced, I say, there's nothing to be afraid of in the book. This is a child who is understanding her own experience better. You're bearing witness to that. That's all. That's all that's demanded of you. On a day when I am not as resourced, I'm furious at that response. I'm scared to read your book. I'm like, you fucking kidding me? What's it going to do to you? What the hell is wrong with you? You know, and it's rude of me, you know, like I know what's wrong with them. Of course I know. But it's almost, they say it so casually. It's not a person who's saying, it's said casually to me, like, oh, I couldn't possibly, you know? And I'm just like, right, you couldn't possibly. So why are we even having this conversation?
Yeah.
I can't even talk to you. If you are scared of this book, this children's book about sexual abuse, there's no hope for us. There's no future for us. And like, I want to end the friendship at that moment. Like whatever the relationship is, I'm just like, we're done.
Bye.
Because I really, it really bothers me. I find it really cowardly. And it's just like, that's why it's going to keep happening. And I want to like lay the blame for like generational sexual abuse on this person in that moment,
Yeah, right.
which is my, that's not fair either. But I feel like you're the reason.
Right.
Because
Right.
you're just too upset. And, so I have no compassion in those moments.
Right.
And so to make the book, I had to get super, super compassionate for me, for
Right.
the mother, for the cousin, for the grandmother, for the dad, and let Dawn be, where she is about it. But a friend of mine, Jill Flowers, who's a soul coach, and one of the wisest people I know, said to me, Dawn takes care of every freaking body in this book.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciated that, because it is part of the burden that she took on, that was already part of her temperament. And then when you add this in, she's still trying to maintain that.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to maintain that. And I am in life, you can macro out, you can,
Yes.
and I am still doing it.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, and I think I find myself, and I know a lot of teachers right now who feel this way, counselors feel this way. I think a lot of people right now feel this level of impatience that you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And my friend Japa, who's just an incredible, one of the most incredible teachers I've ever seen teach. He says, well, Michelle, sometimes a little impatience can be a good thing, and we've had lots of talks about that, about the role of impatience.
Yeah.
In certain circumstances. Yeah. And, that the role of compromise and patience is really overvalued in this culture, because it's identified as compassion and patience, but its real name is denial. And so, it's mislabeled energy that's how I deal with it in myself, as I say, that's mislabeled energy. That's not compassion and patience. That's out and out denial that something's happening. Yeah. And it's allowed us to get to the point, where this happens. And then there's all this incredible, beautiful art in the book that you've made, so personal, so deeply, deeply personal. Just even the swirls and the, all of that is so lovingly made. I can't imagine how you would ever be able to separate yourself from it and stand outside of it and say, it's okay for you not to read this book. Like,
it's true. I don't have a good sense.
I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening, because you're so full of love. It's so abundant in the book, that, and then what you don't know. It's like you say, both books are just full of so much love. And for somebody to say, I don't want to see that love, I don't know how you would reconcile that, I guess.
No, and when it comes across as denial, it's
no,
and I've done that thing of I can't see it, I can't stand it, I can't bear it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we all have.
See us, that film When They See Us, that was on
Netflix. Oh.
And I did that like I can't breathe. It started and they're interrogating the kids and I can't breathe. I can't keep watching. So I promised myself that I would come back to it. And of course, what I experienced when I came back to it was a whole different storytelling than I had ever experienced, because there was so much love and care for the actors, the writers, the men who had the experience, who were involved. And that came through so rich and so just so beautiful. Yeah. That care and responsibility and accountability and who is telling the story. and I think I probably said this in one of the other videos, so I won't continue, but